Okay, so on my screen right now, you can actually see and steal my full YouTube workflow to sign $6,000 coaching clients. And I'm going to be revealing the entire workflow from when you get an idea to how you create the asset, the filming production process, post production process, and how you post it to get inbound qualified leads. By the end of the video, you'll actually know how to validate video ideas before recording, like build converting video assets, cut post production time by half, which is a game changer, and have the best posting process in place. However, there are some prerequisites that you need to follow. Number one, you need to have a make money online offer. If you don't, like, it's not like the system won't work for you, it's just it works better for make money online coaches. So if you're make money online coach, then do stick around till the end. Number two, you need to either have your own or student results. If you don't have any results, then click off this video. That's something you need to focus on before actually seeing this. And then you actually need to be willing to put in the effort. Like, I don't want you to just get nothing from the video that you're just watching. The only thing I want from you, besides if you want to work with me, you can like check the link in the description, is that I want you to execute on whatever I'm about to say in this video. And this is the exact workflow that helped one of the people we worked with book 7 calls in a single day. And mind you, when she started to work with us, a week after she got this result. So meaning, like, if you have the right strategy in place and have a speedy execution process, then the results are inevitable. Now, this workflow has absolutely no guesswork involved. You don't need to spend hours on creating just one piece of content, which doesn't even convert at the end of the day. It's just a structured, repeatable process you can steal today. And the first point is understanding buying cycles. Now, the reason why most coaches can't get their content to convert is because they don't understand these two fundamental concepts. Number one is that every single viewer has a different buying cycle. A lot of people, when they watch your content, they might be in the awareness stage, and a lot of people might be in the stage of considering, like, purchasing a certain offer, and a lot of people might be in the decision making phase. Now, everyone is in different phases, and that is why you need to create content for people in each stage of the buying process. Because even if a new person comes on your page and they're not aware of your offer, they go from being aware to being considerate to actually purchasing your offer if you have content that is made for all buying stages. Now, which leads us to our second point, is that in 2026, market sophistication is at an all-time high. Now, you need to understand, the more evolved the market is getting, the more sophisticated it's getting. And the reason is because most people have been burnt by many coaches online. And honestly, it's the sad reality, but it is true, because a lot of people have been scammed, which is why they don't trust other coaches that easily. They have their guard up and they don't just dwell upon your offer instantly. They need to see proof, results. They need time basically. And they've actually been so, like, they've heard every single claim, and which is why each claim that you say, it triggers skepticism, because they've heard a similar claim before. So that is why you need to have uniqueness, and you need to position your brand in a different manner. And now that you've understood this is how we actually create content that keeps both of these fundamentals in mind. So we have 3 content buckets essentially in place. You already know this, but for those who don't, top of funnel content creates awareness, middle of funnel content nurtures existing audience, and bottom of funnel content pushes the audience to convert. Now, you need a mixture of all of these content formats to actually get the maximum output from the content you create. If you only create top of funnel content, or only middle of funnel, or only bottom of funnel content, you will never be able to get the maximum output that your content has the potential to get. So that is why you need a mixture of all 3. Which brings us to our second point, is that you need to have a dialed in content frequency. Now, if you think you're gonna just start getting results instantly without putting in consistent content out there for at least 3 months straight, then don't even start. Because the truth is, you can't just get something like this. You need to create content, which is gonna take time and all of that stuff. But truth is, it's better to have 3 months of content out than just not even starting. And it honestly won't take up that much of your time. Like, I run my business while balancing school from 8 to 3 and also play sports on a regular basis. So if I can do it, so can you. You just need the right system in place. And now, which brings us to our question, is that what is the most optimal frequency to actually post? Well, 2 times a week is the best frequency to post because you're not doing more, you're not doing less, and it's extremely sustainable. But what if you don't meet the standard? What if you can't post 2 times a week or once a week? Well, unfortunately, your business won't be able to hit record months because you're not pushing out the content that's needed, you're not doing proper marketing, and your audience will be less satisfied. Like, they aren't going to be looking forward to your content. They'll probably like unsubscribe, which means they won't see your content, which means like you're not even going to get people like booking in a call with you. And then the compound effect will take time. Now, I've talked about the compound effect multiple times, but in anything that you do, especially content, it's not linear, it's exponential. So if you don't even meet the standard, then you'll never be able to hit that exponential curve where your content actually starts converting. And lastly, you will collect data slowly. Like, you wouldn't know what content formats work for you. You wouldn't know like what your audience repels, what your audience like, which is why you will struggle to create consistent content. Now, how do you actually stick with this content schedule? Well, you need to actually focus on the 20% of content activities that will get you 80% of the result. You need to focus on things that only you can do, that can't be outsourced, and then outsource the rest. For example, ideation takes 1 hour 30 minutes because we need to pre-validate ideas, all of that stuff, and this is something you need to outsource. Now, this is something we do for like people who work with us. We literally deep dive in the market, see what's working, see what's not working, because that's so important. And it's actually the 20% of the activity that'll get you 80% of the result. Now, this is something you can easily outsource. Like, you don't need to sit down and do it yourself. You can easily outsource it. So this is something you should. Next up comes asset creation. Now, that will usually take plus 10 hours, and that's not worth your time. So you should also outsource that. Now, filming will take 3 to 4 hours, and that's something you can't outsource. Like, you need to show your face, you need to show up as because you're building your brand, a personal brand on YouTube, which is why this is something only you can do, so it can't be outsourced. Post production takes 4 hours, like editing, A/B testing, thumbnail titles, all of that stuff. So this is something you outsource, and then 45 minutes of analyzing. Now, we actually have a Claude system in place where we feed it our video, and then it tells us what we need to improve, what we did well, what we need to work on. So we don't we don't have to create the next video unless we know what to improve on. It is so beneficial. It's something we use in our agency, and this is something I give to anyone who works with me. And it's outsourced by AI essentially. Now, the third point, which is extremely important, is the ideation process. Now, I want you to see first. Over here on my Notion, you can see I have an idea bank. Now, this is where I jot down all of my ideas that I like. Obviously, when we do deep dive and find out outliers that work, I jot down all of these ideas that are working and something ideas I need to execute on. And instead of just executing on ideas that come to your mind, you need to validate the ideas beforehand by seeing demand, by seeing if there's actually demand for these ideas in your market or in the market in general. Now, how do you actually find these ideas? It's pretty simple. You need to use an extension called vidIQ. It's going to help you like see content ideas that are performing well, content ideas that you shouldn't execute on, essentially outliers. For example, if you go on a channel and you see an outlier is basically a video that outperforms the channel's average performance. So it helps you find those. And then what you need to do is that you need to search up your niche, whether it's Amazon FBA, trading, SMA, or drop shipping. Even if it's like, for example, if you're in the Amazon FBA niche, you can search up in the trading niche or drop shipping niche to get your ideas. You shouldn't be only restricted to your niche. Then after finding these outlier ideas, basically outlier channels and channels that are doing extremely well, you need to create a database of these niche YouTube channels. And then you look at these channels one by one, see the outliers, and then batch 5 to 10 outliers you need to execute on. It's that simple. Now, what is the outlier approach? Well, first you need to find an outlier, like what's a video that outperformed the channel's average performance. Then you need to analyze the winning elements. Now, this is the most important part, which most people miss out because they just think they need to replicate the outlier and that's it. But you can't replicate it if you don't know what to work on and what made it work so well in the first place. So always analyze the winning elements. It can be the title, it can be the video structure, it can be the thumbnail, it can be a certain angle they used. Whatever the winning element is, analyze that and then find it. And then after that, after finding the winning element, you need to add your own unique touch. Because you can't just copy the video, you need to tailor it to your niche, tailor it to your style. The way, for example, you can add your own touch by doing certain branding styles or showing certain results, colors, positioning, all of these things. And then once you analyze winning elements, add your unique touch, you basically replicate the outlier. It's that simple. Now this comes to our fourth point, which is asset creation. Now most coaches just do this part by themselves, which is why they end up not producing quality content and being inconsistent. I don't know why it says consistent, inconsistent with the videos, which is why you need to hire an asset designer. Now, what does an asset designer do? Well, it's pretty simple. An asset designer creates aesthetic plus conversion driven YouTube assets. They don't only just create assets that look good and like keep the audience retained, but it's actually conversion driven. They have conversion drivers, amplifiers, all of that stuff that keeps the audience retained and then helps them book in the call. It also cuts pre-production time by half, because you don't, if you, like, for example, outsource this, you only need to find ideas. And if you even outsource the idea part, the only thing, you don't even have to do anything when it comes to pre-production. You just need to film the content. So it literally cuts pre-production time by half, because you, like I said, it takes 10 plus hours to create, and that's something you don't have time for. And then it increases your content frequency. You will be able to pump out more consistent content. If you're posting, like, let's say once every 2 weeks, you would now be able to post twice every week, which will help you actually generate more revenue for your coaching business. Now, what does the process actually look like? Like, what is the process an asset designer goes through? Well, number one, you need to share your insights about your offer, because they don't know your offer as well as you do. And you just give them basic information about your offer. Then the designer watches your content to absorb the information, so they have insights about from you personally, and then they watch your previous content to see what you're talking about, so you don't even have to over explain it. And then after that, they craft in-depth Miro boards. Once they send it to you, you give them revisions, for example, changing certain parts or whatever. And then once you give them revisions and they actually fulfill those revisions and send it back to you, you review it and then you record. It's that simple, and it cuts your pre-production time by half. Thing is that your asset designer actually needs the right instructions and SOPs to actually create conversion optimized Miro boards. Like, this is something we have instilled, so that once we hire asset designers that help create like assets for people who work with us, they have the right SOPs in place. So number one, they're not even in contact with the client, they're in contact with us, but essentially they don't bug us a lot, and they already know what to focus on. So it's like everything is super clear. And then comes the last and fifth final point, which is the post-production process. Now, most people just do this by themselves, but they don't realize the amount of time they're wasting. And instead, post-production should be outsourced, because if you're doing the thumbnails yourself, if you're editing the videos yourself, you need to understand that as a founder, even if like you're even trying to scale to 100K per month, would a 100K per month business owner be editing their own videos or doing the thumbnails or whatever? No, they wouldn't. So you need to start acting as that 100K per month business owner. And besides, it wouldn't be the best use of your time to do the editing, to do the thumbnails, post-production, SEO, all of that stuff. So instead, it should be outsourced. Now, for the thumbnails, you need to pique curiosity. Like, the only job for the thumbnails is to pique curiosity, because if the human brain is curious, then only they will they click on your video and actually absorb the information and value that you're giving out. So you need to pique curiosity. You also need to focus on thumbnails that are trending. For example, thumbnails that are doing certain, like, really well. You take that and tailor it to your niche. The same thing that we do with ideas is the same thing we do with thumbnails. And then your thumbnails need to be easy to understand. Like, if you add some, like, a lot of words or like just very complicated, it wouldn't convert as well. You wouldn't get a good CTR. So that is why it needs to be extremely easy to understand. and it doesn't shouldn't have too much going on. Like I said, not too many words, not too many graphics, just a very simple, good, appealing thumbnail. Now for the editing, it should be bare minimum, maximum like certain cuts, or like bare minimum editing, but like it shouldn't be like something popping up every 3 seconds, because if a viewer watches long form content, they're already like a qualified viewer, because they're ready to absorb the information. They're not there because they accidentally came across your content. Like they're ready to absorb the information. So the editing should not distract the message or like distract the viewer from the value. It should just retain the audience. That's it. And then when it comes to SEO titles, you need to tailor like outliers. Whatever outlier did well, tailor it to your niche. Mostly like no caps. It should be like lower case letters. Sometimes it can be caps, depending on what outlier you actually took. And then no excessive wording, meaning like it shouldn't be above 75 words. So you should be extremely careful. If there are any filler words, then automatically cut that out. And then lastly, optimize you need to optimize the titles for each video. Now when it comes to A/B testing, you can only do that on thumbnails and titles. Now you can do A/B testing just to see what's working well, or you have good formats, and this is something we recommend. However, once you find like the winning title or winning thumbnail from the A/B test that you do, you need to double down on that winning variant. It's essentially an indicator to like cancel out the other tests that you're doing, and like something that you can use for your next videos. Anyway, that is the entire YouTube workflow you can use for your coaching business to sign $6,000 coaching clients. If you're interested to work with my agency, click the link down below and we can have a one-on-one chat. And do subscribe, because I'm going to be coming out with loads more of content you can use to actually scale your coaching business to 100K per month.